Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Beta Breakdown, and we're going to be looking at the February balance update. There are some big changes, things that I think some people didn't see coming, and we haven't talked about this stuff in a while, so I want to talk through it. Hopefully, you guys are ready to settle in and have a discussion. If you're getting frustrated with empires and puzzles, let me just say that Gemstone Legends probably has the things you're looking for. They have a mercy system that guarantees a legendary hero after a certain amount of pulls, and we're not just talking about a weak legendary hero from a pre-selected list. They have a wish list that you can put any hero in the game on to boost your chances of pulling that specific hero. They take into account player feedback, and many of the changes that have gone live in the game were based on player feedback or were player suggestions to begin with. They're even going to give you a free $50 starter bonus just for downloading from one of the links in the description. If the earlier stuff somehow wasn't enough, you can be a hero in wars even just using rare heroes only. They have tons of events that allow you to earn free 10 pulls and other very usable high value stuff. Gemstone Legends really has a lot going for it, so come check it out if you're curious to see why tens of thousands of people have left Empires and Puzzles to come play. So, first up there, they want to gently toot their own horn about how the previous update really hit the mark. Biggest things here, Merriman Midnight and Panther. Let's go through them one at a time. So, first, before we even look at them, do we think they're a problem? I think that's a complicated question. I don't want to get too bogged down here, but I think that's a complicated question because a lot of people are just opposed to any kind of nerf, and I totally understand that because I think it is messed up that they release things a certain way, and then once people invest time, money, resources in those things, then they change it. I do think that's wrong. However, that is just sort of the way it is right now, and I think in some ways it can hurt the game more by having heroes that are too strong. So these balance changes are common in many, many kinds of games. It's not an unusual occurrence. I understand the bias against nerfs in general. However, I think in this case, Panther was too strong. I enjoyed using Panther. I was someone who had her, leveled her, limit broke her. Only did one because I felt like this was coming at some point. But I did say from the very beginning that I think she's too strong. Merriman Midnight, probably too strong. They only really nerfed the family bonus before, so let me know what you guys think in the comments below, whether they were too strong, what your thoughts are on how they should approach this kind of balance adjustment stuff in terms of what is going to be best for the game and the players alike. But here's what we have. The minion health recovery per turn went up from 15% to 22%. So far, we have a buff. Let's see why. HP inherited from caster goes from 40 down to 30. So, that's going to be pretty significant. The attack goes from 20 up to 30. Largely irrelevant, but there will be some niche cases where that does have an impact. These are the two big ones. Attack boost, the Berserker scaling attack boost that can go up to 145% is now fixed at 50%. So it's only 5% higher than it starts at with no scaling whatsoever. And the boosted health portion of the special skill is just straight up removed. So those last two are big. Could they have kept the boosted health part? I think they should have kept the boosted health part. That's a big thing to remove. Boosted health in the current game right now is the healing meta. So I think that's a bit messed up. Now you're changing the base functionality. You're not just adjusting, you are removing. So I'm not very happy with this. I never limit broke this hero because, again, I was like, I think this is going to be coming. Too many people are using them. So big change right there. Let me know your thoughts on that one. Let's take a look at Panther here. Direct damage buffed from 280 to 285. However, the elemental defense against dark is reduced from 54% to 34%, which is huge. It sounds like only 20%, and it is only 20%. However, this effect scales exponentially. So the bigger the defense down past a certain point, the more quickly the damage increases. So this is substantial. Like, think about the difference between defense down from Morel or from the Green season 5. What's her name? Like Mat, something like that. Compared to like Athena's defense down when it's maxed out. Like that, the damage is higher than you would think based on just the percentage difference. So a lot of people were surprised by this one, thinking that, you know, one of the biggest problems with her is that at fast speed, 285 is a lot, or 280 is a lot of damage. Of course, we commonly saw multiple copies of Panther on defense because they're fast speed, they're going to fire quickly, and firing after this defense down is debilitating. So that will still be true to some degree. It now just means this hero is less good on Titans for people that were relying on that. So I don't agree with this being the right thing to do. I think it would have been better to leave the elemental defense as is, since a lot of people had built teams around that in different aspects of the game, and to reduce the damage. The damage doesn't need to be that high, or bring it back to 3 with higher damage or something. I don't know. I don't like this choice here because I think it impacts too many people that were not exploiting this. Yeah, so we'll see what this is going to be like. You know, it's still very high damage. It's going to be less, you know. So if 2 of them are firing in a row, you're not going to be decimated, which is, I think, the way it should be. I don't think any fast speed hero should have that big of an impact. The game is just too fast now, which means you're relying on a lot of luck with your opening board. Okay, so anyways, I want to hear your guys' thoughts on these. Do you think it's enough? Do you think it's too much? Do you think it's not enough? I really do want to know what you guys think. So next up, we have adjustments to the Brave Musketeers. Some of these are to the quest stages themselves. I don't know if you guys remember, but at the very beginning, the quest was like ridiculously difficult and people were having a hard time with it. They just did a Band-Aid fix and made it easier in the moment, and now I think they've tried to adjust that with a little bit more nuance to make it not so binary as too hard or too easy or whatever. So you can look at that stuff here. I'm not going to go too far into that because I think for most people it's kind of irrelevant. You just finish the quest and it is what it is. But if you want to read it, here it is. We're seeing an adjustment to the cover mechanic. Cover damage reduction effect. Damage taken in allies' stead. So they've made this better but shorter. So you used to take 90%, 80%, or 70% of the damage instead of an ally, and now you're taking 60, 50, and 40. Unless I'm missing something, I think this is an improvement. I think what it means is the damage reduction is larger. So when cover applies to a particular ally, when that ally is attacked, it then does the damage to the musketeer. And if you had 3 of them, 30% of the damage dealt was being negated. Now, 60% of the damage dealt is being negated. So they've made cover better, but they've made it shorter. I think this is probably for the best, though you know that it means the Musketeers quest must be coming up soon because they're trying to make the heroes more desirable. But yeah, 6 turns was pretty ridiculous. I think this 3 turns is a bit more in line with how things usually work. Though that's a very high damage reduction, so I'm surprised, even with only 1 hero. Okay, so Aramis, who did not need a buff, got a buff. And the series of buffs that we're seeing here next are around the cover mechanic. So something that was really interesting was you take an attack-based hero like Aramis or D'Artagnan, and they're not up to the task of tanking for other heroes, right? The cover mechanic forces them to be a tank for other allies, meaning they are eating all the damage, but they're not built for that. So I think they realized that, and they're making some adjustments. So for example, Aramis now, in addition to his special skill, which is already very good, gets plus 30% defense for 3 turns. So he's going to be a little bit better at taking the damage on behalf of allies. They buffed his stats by a tiny amount. I see no point in giving him 4 more attack, 6 more defense. These are really tiny buffs. So I feel like this addition of defense makes for an extremely strong special skill. It's only for the caster, which just makes cover work better. So what I'm seeing here is cover didn't work as well as they thought it was going to. They think there's some benefit to the mechanic, or there's something to the mechanic still, and they're trying to figure out how to make it work, but it's coming across a little sloppy now. All right, so Athos. Caster regenerates 306 HP over 2 turns, so again, trying to make cover work better by giving him some extra survivability. Tiny stat boosts again. Okay, D'Artagnan is an interesting one because they made some mistakes, in my opinion. So we've seen this mechanic before with Rain from the Clash of Knights event, and what we saw is the spreadable dot damage, quite high. However, you have a snipe first. So if you snipe and you kill the target, no poison spreads. So obviously, the biggest benefit of the special skill is the spreadable poison, so you don't want to kill the target. However, when they released D'Artagnan, he was hitting even harder than Rain was. And I thought maybe there's a chance that the spreading thing won't work the same because their game is so inconsistent as it is that it's possible this one just will land on the allies even if the hero dies. That was not the case, and now we're seeing, oops, we didn't realize that wasn't going to work so well. Direct damage being reduced, burn damage being increased. And then casters regenerating over 3 turns, which is interesting compared to Athos. I guess he's only 2 because he's very fast speed. So yeah, 470 is still kind of a lot when you don't want to kill a hero. So this is a mechanic that's never been done particularly well by them. Also tiny increase to defense and health. All right, Queen Anne. This one I haven't looked at yet. I peeked at the others before. Special skill adjustment. Caster regenerates 918 HP over 6 turns. So, again, they're trying to put a band-aid on cover not being as good as they thought it was going to be. They boosted her defense by 2, boosted her attack by 2, and boosted her health by 7. Why even bother? So 918 over 6 turns, that's going to be like 150 plus per turn. Which is pretty good. And she was one of the better musketeers with regard to the cover mechanic because she was actually built defensively and could handle that kind of thing. All right, Porthos, pretty big damage increase, 355 to 380, tiny attack boost, and he also regenerates 918 HP over 6 turns. Interesting. And then 4-star just gives the health boost. So a lot of trying to make the cover mechanic work, kind of what we said already. So let me know your thoughts on these buffs. I think the strongest thing that we've seen change here is going to be the cover mechanic was bolstered pretty heavily, both in terms of damage reduction and in terms of making it work on the individual hero basis. All right, and then they're like, oh, and now this month's round of buffs to older heroes, yay! They really hype it up. You ready to see what we're looking at? Big thank you to everyone who chipped in. Please join in the fun. Yeah, so you ready to see their buffs to older heroes? Incredible buffs. Bringing balance back to the game at long last. Taking some of these older heroes, collecting dust, and making them usable again. Let's see what we got. a tiny health boost to Grizzul, and a tiny damage boost to Captain of Diamonds. That's it. That oh man, when I saw this, I was laughing. Grizzul, how many people even have her? I guess a decent amount of people have her, but a 7% healing increase is their buff to older hero. Like, okay. And Captain of Diamonds, irrelevant in so many places, gets a 15% boost to attack. And I'm pretty sure since he chains through on heroes that have minions, this drops off really quickly too. So you get a tiny bit harder hit on the first target, and then it becomes negligible as it travels on. And they hope that we find these... Wait, we hope these adjustments above will help you field these fan favorites. Wow, this is just absolutely lazy that this is the best boost they're going to give to older heroes, as if there aren't so many more heroes that need some kind of help. And it shouldn't be hard to see. They have all the data there, right? That's their big thing, is we make these decisions based on data. We'll actually look at the data and try to restore some balance here. So that's it. Pretty ridiculous. They made cover better because this event has to be coming back quite soon. And they nerfed 2 prominent heroes. But Grizzul got 7% more healing. So yeah, let me know your thoughts. Hopefully you guys have a lot of thoughts on these like I did, because how could you not at this point? So yeah, throw that in the comments below. Please hit that like button and subscribe. Show your support for the channel if you watch the video and you appreciate the content. That's all I ask. So thank you guys so much for doing that. Everyone who does that on a regular basis. Yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.